Now to the legal landscape. Our legal analyst, attorney Dan Adams, joins us every Monday, breaking down the biggest cases happening across Wisconsin and the country. He joins us now. Dan, good to see you. Late last week, Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Brian Hagedorn recused himself from a pending Act 10 challenge that's set to be decided by the court. Justice Hagedorn said that he's stepping aside because of previous roles as attorney helping draft and defend that law. Can you explain the decision and whether that will affect the outcome of this case?
Sure. Well, good morning. The decision whether to recuse yourself or not for the state Supreme Court is really a personal one that each justice gets to make on each case. And in this case, it wasn't a close call. Justice Hagedorn, about 12 years ago, was then Governor Scott Walker's chief legal counsel, meaning his number one lawyer on his staff. And Act 10 being the biggest legislation going on when he was serving as the lawyer, it was something that he defended actively in courts, both in Wisconsin as well as in front of the Seventh Circuit. So clearly he had his fingers already on this controversy as a partisan. So what he said was, well, there's no way I can be seen as impartial in reviewing this controversy as it comes back in front of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Therefore, I will recuse. Now, that doesn't change what could be the possible outcome in this current litigation, because again, there's a 4-3 liberal to conservative majority, and we know that they vote pretty consistently based on their ideology. So now we're down to 4-2 in a potential vote over Act 10 again. But right now, some parties in that case, the GOP legislators, are asking for Justice Protasiewicz to also recuse herself based upon some statements she made during her campaign, where it seemed to imply that she wanted to overturn Act 10. Those type of statements in terms of what the GOP legislators are saying prejudge her to listen to the case impartially, and they want her also to recuse, which would leave just 5 justices to listen to the case. Again, there's an April election coming up, so that will also factor into how this case is decided if it goes that way.
Yeah, a lot of eyes on the Wisconsin Supreme Court in early 2025. Hagedorn off of that Act 10 case, still to be determined whether Protasiewicz actually recuses herself from the case as well. I want to ask about President Donald Trump and some of his recent actions in just the first week and a half in office. Since taking office, he's fired several prosecutors who were handling cases related to the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Like every state, Wisconsin has federal prosecutors as well. How will the president's actions affect anything here in the criminal justice system locally?
Well, it's a big move to fire career prosecutors at what we call Maine DOJ, which is the Washington, D.C. Headquarters of the Department of Justice. Anyone who is touching those January 6 cases has been relieved of duty. Very controversial move. Whether or not that affects any line prosecutors, meaning assistant U.S. attorneys here in Wisconsin, I don't think it does. I've heard nothing about any career prosecutors here in the Eastern District having their hands on any of those cases. However, there are big changes that are coming to the Eastern District of Wisconsin. First and foremost, President Trump will be appointing a lead U.S. attorney. That will be somebody who agrees to faithfully follow his directives, especially regarding immigration policy and criminal matters. And we know that the Department of Justice has already sent out a memo stating that line prosecutors should be seeking the most serious and readily provable offenses that come before them, is also seeking mandatory minimums. That's when it's really the prosecutor's hands are tied as to what to seek for a prison sentence. Again, that's a big policy coming from Washington, which will be applied here locally in the Eastern District of Wisconsin.
Always great to have your insight and analysis, Dan. We'll see you next Monday for more of The Legal Landscape.